Now, let's have the truth be told. How many of us are feeling stressed right now? Be honest with yourself. I'm not going to be able to listen to you through the screen. I'm not going to be able to hear what your thoughts are. Maybe your family member who's sitting and watching the video with you isn't able to hear your thoughts, or your friend who's sitting and watching the video. So be totally honest with yourself. Are you feeling stressed right now? If you are, did you know that it's a known fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease? You probably know this as a caregiver, and you probably preach this to your clients or your own patients. So before I go ahead and talk about stress, I want to go through a principle that I've learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, for those of you who don't know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is, Dr. Joe Dispenza is a chiropractic doctor. He is an author, an international presenter, and also a neuroscientist. He wrote the book Becoming Supernatural. In one of his lectures, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about one key principle, and that's how thought alone can trigger stress and, of course, then cause us to be sick. So, of course, if we constantly have negative thoughts, we are quickly going to have that stress hormone rise and effectively get sick very, very quickly. On the flip side, if we have positive thoughts and continuously think about having a more harmonious life, we are going to live a much healthier and happier life. It's a no-brainer, right? Well, Dr. Joe goes a little bit deeper into this, and he starts talking about the stress hormones that are caused by that fight or flight syndrome that is shown in animals. So thinking about perhaps a deer that is chased by a pack of coyotes, the deer is obviously running for its life. It's total stress. It's in total stress mode, and it's being chased and it's running away from them. And yeah, the hormone levels, the stress levels are super high for that period of time. But then when it outruns the coyotes and then it goes down its own calm grazing mode, it's just gone back to total absolute normal, and stress levels go down and it goes on to live its own happy life. And then compare that to perhaps having a road rage accident on the motorway, on the highway, where maybe somebody cuts you off, you say a few words to him, he says a few words to you, maybe you show the finger, and then the guy drives off and he disappears from your view, and you continue to drive and you go on with your day as normal. The stress hormones should be temporary. That is what our bodies are made for. Our bodies are made for having the stress hormone that rises, but then it comes back down for you to have a constant and more leveled life, more leveled hormone level, rather than going up, 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 up all the time. However, when the stress levels keep rising, and they are on a rise and an emergency code for a very long time, we are bound to get disease. We are bound to get something that's going to happen out of continuous high stress, high levels of stress hormones in our bodies. So let me share with you a personal experience that happened to me only yesterday. So yesterday I was giving a session to a fellow teacher, and she ended up bawling her eyes out, being super, super exhausted and super in pain. She happens to be a yoga teacher who has been practicing yoga for a long time. She's got an amazing following. She's got a really great business, but she was in total and utter pain. What happened to her? She finally divulged to me that she hated the way that her life was right now. She hated the fact that she is working, and she's feeling jealous of her own clients. So she's saying she's frustrated, she's angry, she's disappointed at herself. And it kind of made me remember of this whole situation happening to me. It happened to me a long time ago, but nonetheless, I went through the whole experience, and I shared with her, and I'm sharing this with you as well, what happened to me that caused me to end up having pain, to end up having severe problems with my body that risked me from actually continuing with my job as a Pilates instructor and a teacher trainer. I was going through experiences of not sleeping. I put lots of weight on. I had terrible eating habits. My skin was showing like I had really dry skin. I could see that I wasn't getting the full benefits of nutrition because I wasn't eating well. My hair was falling out. My stress levels were super, super high. And to my community, I was this huge entrepreneur that was holding all her stuff together, right? But deep down, deep inside me, I felt I was falling apart. I was in so much pain. I was going to take physiotherapy, chiropractor, osteopathic treatments regularly just to keep my body active. And I remember teaching a client, feeling super jealous of them having the sessions, and whether it was a group session or a private session, whatever it was, or maybe even my teacher training clients. And I remember even giving them the tactile cueing, and then the client would say, oh my God, I feel so relieved. I'm feeling so amazed at the fact that you're helping me open up. And me, inside of me, thinking, I don't have any more to give. I don't have any more energy to give you. I am depleted. I'm absolutely in pain, even by trying to give you this tactile cue. Now, I don't know if you've ever felt in this way, or maybe you're feeling like this right now, but if you are, I'd invite you to share this with me. I'd invite you to share it with us, because I want the world to know, I want everybody out there to know, all those teachers out there to know that this is a common experience amongst Pilates teachers, and it's not really discussed. So by being honest and putting it out there, I want you to understand that it's absolutely happening, and it's happening to the majority of us. And I have got ways to help you snap out of it and live the life of your dreams, and make sure that it happens to you sooner rather than later. Not like what happened to me. It really took me a long time that I ended up getting into burnout. So before I go ahead and talk a little bit more about what happened after this and how I changed my life to be able to live the life that I'm living now and living the life of my dreams, I want to just explain a little bit about who I am. In case you've never been on my channel, in case you're a newcomer on my channel, my name is Anita Hori. I am founder and creator of Anita Hori Academy, a teacher training academy for Pilates teachers, and I'm also a mentor and a business coach for Pilates and wellness teachers and studio owners to help them smash their business dream goals and live their life the way they want to live it. If you like this video, do hit the like, subscribe, and don't forget the bell to be notified every time I upload a video online. Now, going back to what happened when I came to feeling super sick, when I had situations where I was getting so bad that I started getting vertigo. I started crying before I even got up for work. And I realized that the stress levels were just getting higher and higher and higher. The vertigo was even stopping me from teaching, let alone working out. Crunch time came when I thought, that's it. I am going to draw a line. And I literally just went, phew. I drew a line across the sand and I'm like, no more. My work lifestyle was affecting my health, my family, and essentially my business. Although my business was absolutely doing well, and I felt that, financially I was in the best position I could ever be, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sustain this for long. So if nothing was going to be done about this, then there wasn't going to be any me left anymore. And there was going to be no business left. So I needed to make this change. And this is the pact that I made. And I decided that's it. I am going to have a self-care program. I'm going to create a self-care program. And the first thing that I started in creating the self-care program was, are you ready for this? Getting rid of the weeds in my life. What am I trying to say? I had an absolutely full schedule. So I needed to figure out a way of how I'm going to start working out. Working out, having my own practice was my priority. How could I do this? Every single client that I was teaching, whether they were clients, student teachers, colleagues, I felt that they were just as important as each other. So there was absolutely no way that I could go to any one of the people in my schedule and say to them, I can't teach you anymore. I can't teach you. I could not select any one of them because they were all important. So what did I do? I thought, okay, the first thing I need to do is figure out which is the best time for me to work out. Now, from my previous experiences, all my life of practicing Pilates, I've always worked extremely well working out in the morning. So I felt that I had to, whoever that might be, in my schedule in the morning, I needed to clear them or to pass them over to a colleague or to move their schedule, or ultimately, if I had to, lose them. And I really made that a priority to make sure that I figured out the times and days that I wanted to work out. I wanted to work out 3 times a week, and the 3 days a week, I managed to move my clients to another teacher. Now, I have to be honest, I can't really remember whether I managed to move everybody to another teacher or whether I moved them to another time or whether I absolutely had to lose them. But whatever happened, I really felt I needed to have this time to myself. And then I started working out. And then, of course, you know, you're a Pilates teacher, you're a wellness teacher, you're a wellness provider. You know how important self-care is. And you know how important it is for us to make the time in our schedule, put it in our schedule, commit to it, and start feeling the benefits of what we actually preach. So I'm just going to quickly run through the benefits that I felt straight away. As soon as I cleared my schedule, made my commitment to start working out, and I started working out 3 times a week. Literally within a week, my pain was gone. My pain was gone. And this has happened to me before. This is why I came into the Pilates industry in the first place. So I knew this stuff works. I knew this and I preach it to others. So why am I not doing it to myself? So if you are listening and you are at that point of not having enough time to work out yourself, please drop everything, stop everything, clear your schedule out and start working out yourself. The benefits are going to be all those multiple benefits that the method has, and you're going to feel the increase in the endorphins. It's going to make you feel good, and it made me feel amazing. My body started changing shape again. I started having the energy and getting a little bit more clarity on what I wanted to do. So the second thing that I did was hire myself a coach. Now this was a huge thing. This was a huge thing. So let me go through this. First of all, the first thing I could do was something that I could control. I knew that I needed to start working out. I was craving working out. I was getting jealous of the people I was teaching. And I had to stop this. I had to stop this feeling of jealousy and feeling that I needed to take care of myself. I knew what I needed to do, so I did it. That gave me a little bit more clarity and a little bit more confidence to say, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to move on with my life? And getting the coach was an amazing number 2. Why was it super important for me to get this coach? Working with my coach gave me more clarity, a lot more clarity on where I wanted to be. Then it gave me that sense of direction. So I knew that I was heading to a particular position with my personal life, with my family life, and with my business. Giving me that direction, it gave me accountability. Whenever I went on a coaching call with my coach, I knew that I needed to keep going because I knew that I was accountable to. I told her, I promised her, I said to her, I'm going to be doing it, and I did it. So giving me the accountability also increased my productivity. Now, don't get me wrong, I was already running a very successful Pilates business. I already had my teacher training program, but it was all being made in overwhelm mode. And I was running under 1000% stress. And as Dr. Joe Dispenza confirms in his speeches and in his conferences continuously, there's only a certain amount of time that we're going to be able to sustain this for. And I'm just going to go through a little secret that a client, a French client, I remember he was a French pilot who absolutely loved the sessions that I was giving him. But he said to me, this was a very early on in my career, a very long time ago, very early on in my career. And he said to me, Anita, I absolutely love your energy. I love your energy. I love how you're making me feel. I love how you're running your classes and you're managing to hold groups together and you're still giving this energy to all your people in the groups. He said, but I give you 10 years. He said, I give you 10 years. You can't hold this together for such a long time. And lo and behold, it lasted longer than 10 years. And yes, I managed to run my Pilates sessions and my classes for longer than that. But Joe Dispenza is absolutely right. My client was absolutely right. There's no way I was able to give so much energy, increase the momentum of the business, increase the business, improve the business, grow my empire, and not be able to look after myself. And yeah, then giving me that clarity, working with this coach and giving me that clarity and giving me the direction, giving me the accountability, it improved my productivity and it helped me strategize the way I was running my life, my family, and my business. So if you don't have a coach, I strongly urge you to look for somebody who you can trust, who you can see as your mentor, and who you can be fully accountable to, without feeling nervous or you feel that they're going to judge you or they're going to be talking about you, because this is not the point about coaching and about mentoring. Just be in it purely for your own benefit, for your own improvement, and do not get to a stage that I got to before you make that decision. The third biggest change that I made that really helped me, and this was something that was suggested by my coach at the time, and this is meditation. So I started waking up 30 minutes earlier in my day. So I was waking up 30 minutes earlier and I sat in my bed. I didn't even leave my bed. I sat in my bed, I put my headphones on, and I started meditating. And I was listening to a meditation program that was provided to me by my coach, who she did herself. I followed Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation program. So he has his own series of meditation. Dr. Dispenza's meditation runs for a very long time. So I would not suggest it to somebody who's new to the meditation world. Really, there are so many free resources on YouTube that you can start by adding 5 minutes a day. You don't need to be doing 30 minutes like I did. So you don't need to be doing long, lengthy meditations, but start from somewhere. What is super important is that you are committed, and you are committed every single day. Meditation created more clarity in my mind. It gave me the ability and the empowerment to be able to go through the day with a positive attitude, and that creating that positive momentum. As Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, those positive thoughts are going to create a healthier and happier life. And it is very true. This is a proven fact that happier thoughts are going to give you a healthier and happier life. So starting the day with positive affirmations, with meditation, that is going to help you create that positive day. It's going to create that positive week. It's going to create that positive month and positive year. So it's just going to completely change your life. The fourth thing that was a big change for me, and I created a lot of resistance for this, it was yoga. It was a regular practice of yoga. This was yet another suggestion from my coach at the time, and I resisted this like nothing else. Why? In my mind, Pilates was the beginning, the middle, and the end of everything. Pilates was the cure for everything. Pilates was the absolute solution to everything that happened to me, happened to my clients, happened to anybody that I encountered. So the thought of going into another practice felt like I was cheating Pilates. I was so committed to Pilates. I lived and breathed Pilates. I slept Pilates. So committing myself to another practice was like I'm really turning away from the method that has helped me through so many years. So when my coach suggested that I should be doing yoga, I was like, no way. I am a Pilates person. I'm not a yogi. Yogis have got a completely different way of life. They've got a different lifestyle. I'm not like that. I'm a power person. Anyway, I'm going to cut a long story short, and I'm going to cut to the chase here. She suggested I started off by doing yoga, watching yoga videos. And I did a search on YouTube, and like millions of other people in this world, I found Adriene. And I started practicing yoga with Adriene, and it was actually fun. Well, I had this whole feeling of this is going to take me a while to get myself accustomed to, because this is a little bit too slow for my liking. And I actually went to my coach and I said, you know what, I love you to bits and I love what you're doing to me, but come on, dude, I really need something a little bit stronger. I am a power girl. I am a Pilates girl. I need something more in my life. And, she said to me, think about this. Why are you feeling like this? What is lacking in your life? What are you feeling when you are following the video? What thoughts come into your head? And I thought, this is too slow. I need a little bit more power. I need a little bit more energy. This is like kind of making me slow down. So I'm having to kind of pull myself together because my head is running away from me when I'm trying to practice the yoga. When I'm doing Pilates, I'm 1000% in it. My mind and my body are connected, but they're flowing, they're moving. And when I was practicing the first few weeks of yoga with Adriene, it was a struggle. And what I realized after having done a session with my coach about it was that was exactly the lesson that I needed to learn. I needed to learn to slow myself down. And in slowing myself down and accepting that I had to run through the process of practicing this form of movement in a slower method, in a slower way, I started discovering things about myself that I didn't know I had. And that was the most amazing thing, because what I learned from doing yoga was that you can't live your life on overdrive. You have to learn to connect. You have to learn to connect with yourself. And I connected absolutely amazingly well on the Pilates mat or on the Pilates equipment. But when it came to get out of my studio and live my life and practice living, it was a different story. I was living my life in overdrive, and I was living my life in a way that was being extremely detrimental to myself. So practicing yoga helped me slow the heck down. So Adriene, if you ever watch this video, thank you so much for coming into my life. I have since then committed to a more presential yoga practice, and I have got my own yoga teacher that I practice with regularly, and I make sure that I have that in my day. And if you are a yoga teacher, I urge you to try Pilates. And if you're a Pilates teacher, I urge you to try yoga. And if you practice any other methods, it's really going to help fulfill your life. Since I've started yoga, I've then practiced the art of Tai Chi, which is another amazing movement. It's another amazing practice. And I feel the combination of all this has really enriched my life. Do try this yourself. The fifth change that happened to me after I started with my coach and doing my yoga practice was taking time out for myself and for my family. So it started off with date nights with my partner, taking days out with my family, including my dog, my son, and sometimes my mom as well. and taking weekends away and making sure that I got regular weekends away. So we started off with just doing 1 weekend a month, and then it actually increased to 2 weekends a month. So I knew that 2 weekends a month I was going away, and I would fix up my schedule so I would be able to go away for this time. I was able to take 2 big holidays a year, definitely in the summer and then in the winter, making sure that I spend the time with my family, to connect with my family, to connect with nature, to connect with the earth, which I felt was super important for me. So the time out, the days away, the spa sessions, the regular treatments that I started having, the weeks away really fulfilled me, really filled my cup, and that helped me create the lifestyle that I want. And you might be watching this and you'd be thinking to yourself, how could I even get myself to that position? I am overwhelmed. I've got so many things to do. I am teaching far too many lessons. I've got all these projects on board. I really can't be even seeing myself taking a weekend away. You don't have to start with taking a weekend away. Even just allowing yourself an hour in your schedule to start working out, like I started. Then from working out, you start allowing yourself a few hours in your schedule, making sure that you have time out to practice something else, or maybe to do an art class or a craft class, something that helps you connect with yourself, or go out in nature. Nature is the biggest healer. Nature, being out in nature, and this is something that this isn't something that I've come up with. This is what Joseph Pilates has preached in his books and throughout his life. And I know Lolita San Miguel ranted to us all the time about the importance of being out in nature. And Joseph Pilates puts it out in his books, and it's something that we tend to forget because of our busyness, because of our busy lives. But connect to nature, and then start taking days out, and then start taking weekends off, and then start taking weeks off. And that's the most important thing, that you start creating this momentum and creating this pattern. So if you haven't started yet, I strongly urge you to do so. The final thing that made this huge, big change in the way that I've started living my life and the way that I live my life today is having discipline around my own management skills. So I had already had a thriving business, and I had staff that worked for me. I had subcontractors that worked for me, that were looking after my social media, my website, my marketing. So I wasn't really doing it all already. However, I found that I was at the beck and call of everybody in my world. I found myself that I was answering WhatsApp texts, Messenger, emails, text messages, whatever messages were coming through, whatever form of media that I had, I was literally answering as soon as I received them. So I have absolutely no break in my life. Whether it was my staff, whether it was my clients, whether it was my family, whether it was my friends, I was just like literally being at the beck and call. I was answering straight away. And I put a halt to that. And this was a long discussion also with my partner, with John, because he had this whole issue about it as well. And we had some set rules, and we set some rules as well in the house. So I knew that I had to set myself a time limit where I was able to answer messages. And I stick to that until this day. And at the beginning, clients and staff were all like, why is she not answering me? And it took a little bit of adaptation, to say the least, but it happened. So bit by bit, it happened. I make sure that I don't watch my phone if I'm out, if I'm at a restaurant, if we're eating. I don't have my phone with me. I want to have good and intimate conversations with my partner. I don't want to be distracted by messages from anybody else in my life. And really, it helped fulfill me a lot more, because it allowed me to gain my life back. It allowed me to gain my whole persona back. And then from this, I started scheduling days where I was able to do admin. So prior to this, I already had my admin days, but in my admin days, if a client or if a member of staff or a student teacher wanted me for a particular time, I would slip them into my admin day because there was no other time. So I'd say, yeah, it's okay. I could take an hour away from my admin, or I could take a couple of hours away from my admin so that I could fit my other person in. But no, I really drew the line and I said, no way, no more. And the way I started doing that was by actually being away from the studio. So when I was away from the studio, I would pull myself away. There was no way people could contact me, and I was able to do my admin. And if I had some time left in my admin and I knew that a student or a client or my staff needed advice or needed work, then I was able to see to their inquiries, see to their need. But I only did that once I finished my admin. So I allocated these days and I really stuck with them. The other thing that really changed the game for me was that I planned my training and my teacher training days in advance. So whereas before I was available for my teacher training students all the time, it's literally 24/7. If I was at the studio, my students would know they'd come to me, ask me a question. Of course, they would ask me the question after I'd finished my class, or I'd finish my session, whatever I was doing. And I normally allow myself 15 minutes break. And in these 15 minutes break, my student could come to me and ask me questions, or else if I was having lunch, my student would come to me and ask me questions. And of course, this was just driving me nuts because, I had not just one student, and I felt that I wasn't even able to eat, and I wasn't eating properly. When I made all these changes, I started implementing systems where I could see to my students' inquiries without actually physically being with them all the time. So I created groups, I created social media groups where we could have a closed group where we would share questions, where we would share suggestions, where we would explain a particular movement or explain anything to do about the teacher training together. So by doing this together, it was not just the student who inquired about this particular issue that was going to learn, it was also going to be everybody else. So that helped the students, it helped the clients, and it helped myself, because I really was able to pull myself away from physical being at the studio and be able to take more time out for myself. And last but not least, and this was a huge thing for me, really sifting through the weeds of my teaching hours and reducing my teaching hours to focus on working on my business rather than working in my business. It was a very painful process. It was a painful process because, as I mentioned before, there was no way that I could say no to any of my clients. There was no way that I could say, I don't want to be teaching you. And I felt that I had to do this for my own sanity and for my own well-being. And the way that I did it, was again, I went back to the situation where if I knew that I needed to take time out for a specific reason, not just for the sake of taking time out, then whichever classes were in my schedule, whichever sessions were already in my schedule, were moved to another teacher. I couldn't move them to another time because the point of the exercise was for me to reduce my working hours, my teaching hours. So I moved them to another teacher. And again, it took time, adaptability. People don't like change, especially if they've been working with you for a long time. But once people understood that this was going to also help them, and they adapted to that, and they started getting used to the new teacher, it was absolutely not a problem at all. Once I discovered the amazing changes that were happening to me, to my students, to my own staff, and seeing them grow and be the most amazing Pilates teachers themselves, and then also seeing the changes in my clients, I felt so much more relieved. I thought I should have done this sooner. So if you guys are in this stage right now, please just listen to this video and take action. Take action now before it's too late for you. So as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you have to start removing all the weeds from your garden. And he's got this great analogy that, once you start removing the weeds in your garden, you've got to take the plants from the past year and you've got to get rid of them, and you've got to move the rocks, and you've got to go underneath the rocks and maybe dig the garden. So the garden is going to look a little bit ugly at the beginning because it's going to look unpleasing to the eye. It's not really going to be that pretty. And perhaps you're going to feel uncomfortable sitting in your garden because it's not a pretty garden. You're not going to be enjoying it that much. But just as that process has to happen for you to start planting new plants, planting new seeds, and then watering your garden and letting it grow and enjoying and reaping the benefits of your sowing the seeds, the same is going to happen with your life. So what am I trying to say? Get ready to feel uncomfortable. Get ready to feel like it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Get ready for you and your brain to say to you, look, I'm used to this. I'm used to living my life like this. I don't want to have to go through these uncomfortable feelings, to these situations where I really am not used to. The hardest part about making choices is not to make the same choice that you made the day before. That's the hardest part. And as Joe Dispenza says, the moment you decide to take action, you're going to be taking uncomfortable action. And this is where your change is going to happen. So you might start to feel resilient about the whole process, and you might feel that you don't want to be doing these changes because you're so much more comfortable in the life that you've had before. That's what your brain is going to start saying to you. So stand guard at the door of your mind. This is a quote from Tony Robbins. Stand guard at the door of your mind and be careful what thoughts you allow to come into your head. So if you're starting to get some thought of, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm not good enough, or I get anxious even thinking about how these changes are going to happen, calm yourself down, get back into your meditation, get back into this positive thought process and make sure the changes are happening, because your mind has this sneaky ability to completely keep you stuck in the way that you were, especially if you have negative thoughts in your head. So what is the best way for you to get out of this? The best way for you to get out of this is to practice your meditation, rehearse the life you want, close your eyes, make it happen in your mind before it even happens to you. And the meditation process really makes it happen. It happened to me. It happened to millions of other people. And be aware that the changes are going to start happening very small, but nonetheless, they're going to be happening. So be patient, persevere, and be persistent. Just like Joseph Pilates has taught you, use this as part of your meditation to change your life and to change your processes. Once you start getting all these amazing things happening to you, it's literally just a trajectory. It's a momentum that's going to start happening, that's going to take you to yet another level. And it happened to me, and I hope that it's going to happen to you. If you like this video and you feel that you've gained some benefit out of it, do share your experience in the comments below. And if you feel that perhaps somebody else can make benefit out of this video, share it with your friends, share it with your family, and don't forget, hit the like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified every time I upload a video online. Until my next video, goodbye guys.